a three-wheeled death trap built on fraud, a mail-order car with a lawnmower engine, a $250 million disaster that became a national punchline. The 1950s promised jet-age styling and chrome-covered dreams. But behind those wild tail fins and space-age curves, some of these machines were mechanical nightmares, waiting to bankrupt you or worse. I have dug through factory recalls, court documents, and dealer horror stories to find 20 cars from the 1950s that look like the future but drove like garbage. These are not hidden gems. They are forgotten for a reason. Starting with the biggest fraud in automotive history. The 1950 Davis Divan was not just a bad car, it was a crime scene on wheels. Gary Davis promised investors a revolutionary three-wheeler, lightweight, fuel-efficient, the future of transportation. He collected millions in funding, built exactly 13 units, then was convicted of grand theft and fraud. The single front wheel created catastrophic handling. Turn too hard, and the car lifted one side off the ground. Drive over 20 miles per hour on a curve, and you were gambling with physics. There was no real dashboard, the windshield wipers were manually operated, and the driver sat off-center, staring at nothing. The entire company was a con. Davis spent investor money on yachts and mansions, while his factory sat empty. When prosecutors raided the facility, they found promotional materials and broken promises. No production line, no engineering team, just hype. 13 cars total. That's the legacy. The 1957 King Model 3 took a different approach to failure. Why commit fraud when you can just sell garbage? It was a mail-order car. You ordered it from a catalog, received a kit, and assembled it yourself. The frame was basic steel tubing, the body panels were thinner than soda cans, and there were no doors at all. Tiny wheels belonged on a go-kart. The engine produced 9.2 horsepower, essentially a riding lawnmower with turn signals. Reaching 50 miles per hour was theoretical. Owners described the experience as terrifying, not because of speed, but because everything felt like it was about to disintegrate. Handling was shopping cart physics. Brakes were a suggestion, and safety features were zero. No crumple zones, no seat belts, no real bumpers. In a collision, you were not protected. You were politely ejected. This was not a car. It was a liability you assembled in your garage. Then there's the 1958 Edsel Corsair. It stands as the most famous failure in American automotive history. Ford spent $250 million developing the Edsel brand. Adjusted for inflation, that is over $2 billion today. They promised revolutionary styling and cutting-edge technology, a car that would redefine the market. The horse-collar grille became a national joke. Critics called it ugly, weird, a design disaster. The real nightmare was underneath. The teletouch transmission was mounted in the steering wheel hub. It used push buttons to shift gears. The system constantly malfunctioned. Drivers accidentally shifted into reverse while trying to honk the horn. The buttons stuck, failed, or triggered random gear changes. Teletouch problems made the car dangerous and frustrating to drive. Build quality was abysmal. Cars left the factory with misaligned body panels, uneven paint, and missing parts. Ford rushed production to meet deadlines, and they shipped cars that were not finished. The launch timing could not have been worse. 1958 hit during an economic recession. Buyers were not spending money on expensive, unproven cars with weird styling and broken transmissions. Sales collapsed. The Edsel became a punchline, a case study in corporate failure, a cautionary tale taught in business schools. Ford lost hundreds of millions of dollars. The 1959 Cadillac Eldorado Brougham took a different route to disaster. Instead of rushing production, Cadillac hand-built opulence nobody wanted. Starting price was over $13,000. That is $135,000 in today's money. That was more than an average house in 1959. The interior featured leather, wool, stainless steel, and even a custom perfume atomizer and cocktail cups. Each Brougham was assembled by hand with Rolls-Royce level craftsmanship. Only 99 units were produced. The problem was not the luxury, it was the engineering underneath. The air suspension system was advanced for its time and notoriously unreliable. The system sagged, collapsed, and failed constantly. Repairs were expensive and frequent. The electronic features were difficult to maintain, especially outside major cities where mechanics had never seen this technology. The car's excessive weight meant even the powerful V8 struggled. Acceleration was sluggish, fuel economy was catastrophic, and handling was vague and floaty. Cadillac built a car that cost more than a house, broke constantly, and drove like a yacht with a hangover. The Brougham proved too much extravagance is not what buyers want. It is what kills sales. These 4 cars set the pattern: fraud, danger, hype, and misguided luxury. The next batch took mechanical failure to new levels. The 1957 Ford Skyliner promised something incredible: a retractable hardtop that converted from closed coupe to open convertible at the push of a button. The mechanism required over 600 individual parts: motors, cables, pulleys, switches, relays, all working in perfect synchronization. When it worked, it was impressive. When it failed, it was a nightmare. The roof constantly jammed, halfway up, halfway down, stuck at odd angles. Owners reported electrical failures, mechanical breakdowns, motors burning out. The system was so complex that most mechanics refused to work on it. The retractable mechanism added massive weight. The Skyliner weighed nearly 2 tons. That extra weight killed handling, made the car sluggish, and destroyed fuel economy. You were driving a party trick that handled like a barge. Ford priced the Skyliner at $2,942. Only 20,766 units were sold in 1957. Buyers quickly realized they were paying for complexity that broke constantly. Maintaining and repairing the roof was expensive and time-consuming. The Skyliner proved that innovation without reliability is just expensive failure. The 1957 Dodge Custom Royal brought a different mechanical disaster. Chrysler rushed their new torsion air suspension into production to compete with General Motors and Ford. The system promised superior ride quality and cornering ability. Advertising claimed revolutionary handling. The reality was catastrophic. The torsion bars sagged prematurely, seized, or broke entirely, which led to unpredictable steering. In the worst cases, the car could lose control and spin out at high speeds. Drivers reported a strange floating sensation, excessive body roll, and numb steering that caused nauseating instability. Overall build quality was poor, with loose welds, misaligned body panels, water leaks, and electrical problems. Chrysler prioritized beating competitors to market over actually testing the system. The Custom Royal suspension was not just unreliable, it was dangerous. Owners could not trust the car in corners or at highway speeds. The damage to Dodge's reputation lasted years. The 1958 Renault Dauphine arrived in America advertised as a sophisticated European option. It was anything but. The rear-mounted 4-cylinder engine produced 32 horsepower. That is not a typo. 0 to 60 miles per hour took over 30 seconds. A contemporary road test described the handling as driving a unicycle on ice. The tiny drum brakes were completely inadequate, and stopping distances were terrifying. The Dauphine suffered constant reliability issues in the American climate. It was prone to rust, had poor cooling and constant overheating, experienced electrical failures, and had a finicky transmission. It was not just slow, it was fragile. French engineering met American expectations and lost badly. The Dauphine proved that bringing an underpowered, unreliable car to a market that valued power and dependability was commercial suicide. The 1955 Dodge LaFemme took a different approach to failure. Instead of mechanical disasters, this was a marketing catastrophe. Dodge designed a car specifically for women, not by asking women what they wanted, by assuming. The LaFemme came in sapphire white and heather rose colors. The interior and accessories were color coordinated. It included a matching purse, raincoat, rain hat, and other fashion accessories. The design focused on cosmetic items rather than performance, handling, or practicality. Women did not want elaborate accessories. They wanted a car that worked. The LaFemme was built on outdated stereotypes instead of actual consumer research. It was not worth buying. Dealers and buyers recognized it as a gimmick rather than something useful. Production lasted 2 years. Only 2,500 units were sold. The LaFemme proved that patronizing your target market guarantees failure. These four showed that mechanical ambition without proper testing creates disasters. The next batch proves penny pinching produces even worse results. The 1950 Allstate by Sears represents one of the strangest chapters in American automotive sales. Sears sold cars through catalogs and department stores. The Allstate was a rebadged Henry J, already one of the most basic cars on the market. Sears stripped it down even further to hit a lower price point. The engine options were a 68 horsepower 4-cylinder or an 80 horsepower 6-cylinder. Both provided dangerously slow acceleration. Merging onto highways was a gamble with your life. The Allstate lacked most basic features: no power steering, no power brakes, no armrests, no radio, no heater. But the most absurd cost-cutting decision was the rear trunk. There was no trunk lid. You had to fold the rear seat down and crawl through the interior to access your luggage. Imagine loading groceries by climbing into your back seat. The bodywork was flimsy sheet metal. Paint chipped easily. The car developed rattles within weeks. Build quality was abysmal because Sears prioritized price over everything else. Sales were catastrophic. Only about 1,300 units sold in 2 years. Most Sears stores quietly stopped carrying the car. The Allstate proved that selling cars like appliances does not work when the product is garbage. The 1953 Kaiser Dragon tried the opposite approach. Instead of cutting costs, Kaiser threw money at luxury nobody wanted. The Dragon featured a padded vinyl roof and bamboo-patterned vinyl interior that looked like a tiki bar exploded inside the car. The styling was polarizing. Some found it exotic. Most found it bizarre. The real problem was the vinyl roof. It absorbed water like a sponge. After rain, the roof stayed damp for days, sometimes weeks. The interior smelled like a swamp. Mildew and mold became constant problems. The performance was equally disappointing. It had a 226 cubic inch inline 6-cylinder engine that produced only 118 horsepower. The Hydromatic automatic transmission sapped what little power remained. 0 to 60 miles per hour took over 15 seconds. The Dragon was Kaiser's last-ditch effort as an independent manufacturer. It combined desperation, odd styling choices, and mediocre performance. The car failed to attract buyers, and Kaiser's automotive division collapsed shortly after. The 1950 Crosley Hot Shot was a tiny, lightweight sports car that promised nimble handling and fuel efficiency. Instead, it delivered constant mechanical failures. The 4-cylinder engine displaced just 44 cubic inches and produced 26.5 horsepower. The car could reach 70 miles per hour thanks to its extremely light weight, but getting there was an adventure in terror. The Hot Shot was notorious for quality issues, with leaky transmissions, ill-fitting body panels, and parts that did not align properly. Crosley's manufacturing standards were abysmal. Owners reported constant repairs and breakdowns. The car was not viewed as practical transportation. It was a novelty item, a toy. American buyers in 1950 wanted substantial vehicles, not fragile, lightweight experiments. The Hot Shot failed commercially, and Crosley Corporation ceased automotive operations in 1952. The 1957 Mercury Turnpike Cruiser was packed with futuristic gadgets that either did not work or made the driving experience worse. Roof-mounted air intakes were supposed to provide fresh air ventilation, but they were ineffective and often leaked water into the interior during rain. The retractable rear window turned the cabin into either a wind tunnel or a rain trap, depending on the weather. The car was massive and oversized, with mediocre mechanical components underneath. Driving it felt sluggish and not agile. It had vague steering, excessive body roll, and weak brakes. The gadgets distracted from the fact that the car drove poorly. Quality control was a complete disaster. Systems failed within months, and mechanics struggled to repair the complex electronic features. The Turnpike cruiser became a joke and was quickly discontinued. The 1959 Chevrolet El Camino tried to combine truck utility with car comfort. It failed at both. Built on the Impala platform, the El Camino inherited flamboyant styling, with large tail fins and a low stance. It looked like a show car, not a work vehicle. The bed was small, and the ride height was too low for serious hauling. As a truck, it was useless. As a car, the interior was cramped and less refined than traditional sedans. The El Camino was an identity crisis on four wheels, a fashion statement with no function. The 1958 Buick Limited embodied everything wrong with the 1950s excess: more chrome, more bulk, more flash. The result was a heavy, expensive car that could not compete. Over 19 feet long and weighing nearly 5,000 pounds, the Limited resembled a yacht more than an automobile. Navigating city streets was a nightmare. Tight parking spaces were impossible. The car was built for wide-open highways that did not exist yet. Despite a powerful V8 engine, fuel economy was catastrophic. The Limited often achieved single-digit miles per gallon. Owners spent more time at gas stations than driving. The design philosophy prioritized decoration over function. The car carried nearly 200 pounds of chrome trim. That is unnecessary weight that killed acceleration and handling. The suspension was built for show, not control. Ride quality was vague and uncontrolled. Only about 7,400 units sold before Buick canceled the Limited in 1959. The car became a prime example of style over substance, proving that bigger is not better when the fundamentals are wrong. The 1957 Lincoln Premier tried to challenge Cadillac with massive presence and flamboyant styling. It failed spectacularly. Nearly 19 feet long and weighing over 5,000 pounds, the Premier was a statement car. Chrome was everywhere, with large tail fins and bold lines meant to announce arrival. Driving it was a very different experience. Visibility was terrible. The long hood and thick pillars created massive blind spots. Maneuvering through traffic felt like commanding a ship. Parking often required multiple attempts and a little luck. Despite a powerful V8 engine, the Premier remained sluggish. The massive weight dragged down performance. Acceleration was adequate at best, and fuel consumption was obscene. The interior featured luxury materials, but it lacked the innovation that Cadillac rivals offered. Lincoln could not justify the high price when competitors provided better refinement and more advanced technology. It is remembered as a relic of an era that prioritized big, bold, and flashy styling over refinement and efficiency. Sales disappointed, and the model faded quickly. The 1950 Nash Rambler took a different approach, with compact dimensions, but mechanical weaknesses killed its appeal. The six-cylinder engine produced only 82 horsepower. That weak output struggled when climbing hills or carrying passengers. The engine bogged down under load, creating dangerous situations when merging or passing. The Rambler's distinctive bathtub shape with sweeping curves looked unique, but it caused handling problems. Its low profile and lightweight structure made the car shake violently when cornering or driving at speed. Drivers reported frightening instability. Mechanical reliability was poor. Transmission problems, suspension failures, and electrical issues plagued owners. The Rambler required constant repairs compared to competitors. Interior space was cramped despite the exterior dimensions. Cargo capacity was limited, making it impractical compared to larger American sedans. The Rambler tried to offer efficiency, but it delivered frustration instead. The 1953 Willys Arrow rounded out this group with an underpowered engine that doomed it from the start. Its inline six-cylinder engine produced 91 horsepower. In the 1950s market, where power was king, that output was deemed pathetically weak. Buyers expected performance, and the Arrow could not deliver. The car's unique shape, with soft curves and rounded details, stood out, but not in a good way. The styling was seen as outdated compared to newer, more aggressive designs from competitors. Inside, the Arrow seated 5 people with a simple, functional layout. But simplicity translated to boring. Nothing about the interior excited buyers or justified the purchase. The weak engine combined with uninspiring design created a car nobody wanted. Production ended in 1955 after just a few years. The Arrow proved that being different is not enough when performance disappoints. The 1954 Hudson Jet earned the nickname Dull Beige Box, and it deserved every word. Hudson designed the Jet to compete in the compact car segment against the Nash Rambler. They equipped it with a 6-cylinder engine producing 104 horsepower and offered manual or hydromatic automatic transmissions. The exterior was boxy and straightforward, with no intricate details. The styling was aggressively boring. Nothing about the design attracted attention or excited buyers. It looked like transportation, not aspiration. The interior seated 6 people, but offered nothing special, functional but uninspiring. There were no features that justified choosing the Jet over its competitors. Hudson faced fierce competition and high production costs, and the Jet could not generate enough sales to sustain itself. When Hudson merged with Nash Kelvinator to become American Motors Corporation, the Jet was quickly discontinued. Production lasted only a short time before the model disappeared completely. The Jet proved that competing on price alone does not work when your product is forgettable. The 1956 Studebaker Golden Hawk had genuine performance credentials, but still failed commercially. The 352 cubic inch Packard 5.8 engine produced 275 horsepower. Real power, legitimate performance numbers. Buyers could choose manual or automatic transmissions, both 3-speed. The interior featured a unique engine turned dashboard design, with more options than previous Studebaker models. The exterior resembled other Hawk models, but was distinctly positioned as the performance flagship. The problem was not the car itself, it was Studebaker Packard's inability to compete with General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler. The major automakers had massive resources, extensive dealer networks, and economies of scale that independent manufacturers could not match. The Golden Hawk's price was higher than comparable cars from the Big Three. Buyers could get similar performance for less money from established brands, with better dealer support and parts availability. Studebaker also made cost-cutting decisions that hurt the car's appeal. They reduced standard features compared to the previous Speedster model. The styling drew mixed opinions, with some finding the Hawk models from this era bulky or overly ornate. The Golden Hawk had the performance, but lacked the infrastructure and pricing to succeed. It proved that a good car from a struggling company still fails. The 1950 Ford Crestliner closed out this list with pure style over substance. Ford's standout feature was a black vinyl roof. That was the selling point. It was not performance, not innovation, not technology. It was a vinyl roof. Under the hood sat a 239 cubic inch flathead VI 8 engine producing 100 horsepower. Acceleration was modest at best. The car had drum brakes and a basic suspension, with no standard power steering or power brakes. The interior offered nothing special compared to cheaper Ford models. The vinyl roof was polarizing. Some found it chic, most considered it cheap and flashy, a gimmick that did not justify the higher price. The Crestliner had no clear advantages over competitors, or even other Fords. It prioritized appearance over actual substance. Sales declined quickly, and the model faded into obscurity. These final 3 proved the pattern. Whether through boring design, struggling manufacturers, or pure gimmickry, all 20 cars prioritized image over engineering, marketing over reality. These 20 cars prove flashy styling means nothing without solid engineering. Post-war optimism produced bold designs, but there was zero substance underneath. Watch my next video on modern cars that repeat these exact mistakes. Subscribe for automotive truth that saves you money.